So now that we have our table established, we're going to go ahead and add rows and columns and add additional information. So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to pause the video here and add a row to the top of this table. So what we're adding is we're adding a title row. If we wanted to, we could also put it up above the table outside of the table settings, but we're going to add something up at the top. So what I can do is there are a couple options. First, I can hover over the edges of these tables on the ends, and you'll see that I get these little plus signs that pop up above the columns. You can also see that I get them on the rows, but I don't really get one for the top of the table, so that makes it a little bit harder to put a row up at the top of the table above everything. If I go to the Layout tab of Table Design, I also have an Insert Above option that allows me to insert a row above wherever I'm clicked. I can also right-click and choose Insert and then Insert Rows Above, and that will let me put a row above everything as well. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put Project Tracker in the title. And usually titles sit in the center, they look big, they look bold, all those kinds of things, but in this case, the center is like between two cells. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and select these 4 cells, and what I'd like you to do is turn them into one big cell. So we're gonna take them all and combine them together. So pause the video here and do that. To take these and combine them, we're going to merge them. So you first click and drag across the cells to highlight them in gray, and then on the Layout tab, you also in the Merge section have a Merge Cells option. You can also right-click and merge the cells inside the table as well. When you merge them, they all become one cell. If you ever wanted to split them back up, you have a Split Cells option where, like, maybe I want to split this cell into 2 columns and 1 row. I can click OK and it'll split it into 2 columns and have that available at the top. In this case though, I do want them merged all the way across, so that way I can get my text in the dead center of this cell. So now I'd like you to go ahead and take this and pause the video here and put it in the dead center of this cell. Aligning text inside of there can happen on the Home tab using the paragraph alignment tools like Center, Right, Justified. However, not only do we have a horizontal alignment here, but what we can do is we can hover over the border just below Project Tracker, and we can expand the height of this cell. So my cursor will turn into a line with an arrow pointing up and down when I hover over the border, and I can then click and drag down, and you'll see that I can expand the height of the cell. So not only do we have horizontal alignment, but now we have vertical alignment too inside of the cell. So I'd like you to see if now you can make it be dead center in the cell both vertically and horizontally. So pause the video here. To make it have dead center alignment for vertical and horizontal, you're going to go ahead and go to the Layout tab, and you can see here that there's an alignment group for the tables, and not only is there horizontal alignment, but now we have vertical, middle, center, and bottom. So you have lots of different options that you can pick from. We want to choose the Align Center to center both horizontally and vertically at the same time, and that will push it into the center of the cell. So no matter how tall the cell gets or how wide the cell is, it's going to go ahead and adjust. I'm going to go back and be at this stage. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add another area. We're going to add another column in here. So I want you to add a column off to the right of this table, all the way over to the right. So to add a column, I'm going to click in the far side, and you can either like hover over the button to add to the cells, or you can insert to the right. Either way, you're going to get those columns. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually take start date and completion date, and we're going to move it down a row. So what's really cool about tables is you can select things, and then you can physically click and drag on the text until your cursor is where you want it to be, and drop it, and it will move it. This works as well when you have things like just text in your document and you want to move stuff around. So I can take the word awesome, for instance, and I can click and drag it and drop it anywhere. And so that's an option that you can do not just in tables, but everywhere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take completion date and I'm going to move that over to the far right column. And instead of it just being start date and completion date, I'm going to put due date. And what I'm going to have here is the words important dates as a heading in addition to project and lead. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start merging things a little bit more. So I'm going to take Project Tracker up at the top, highlight the whole row, right click, and merge it. I'm going to take important dates across all 3 of these, and I'm going to merge that as well. So I'm going to right click and merge it. And then I'm going to take project across the column, like up and down on the column, and merge those, and then lead and merge those. So now I have important dates as a heading for start date, due date, and completion date, as well as project and lead, and I'm ready to add a new row. That way I can begin adding in data. So I'm going to go to the end of completion date, and what we want to do is we want to add a row down at the bottom here. One of the quickest ways to add a new row is to be in the last cell of the columns of that row and hit tab on your keyboard. When you hit tab on your keyboard, it will pull the number of cells from the previous row and create a whole new row for you. And you can actually hit tab to pop through these different cells. To go backwards through a cell, you can hit shift tab and that will pop you back through the cells as well. So you could even get to the end and hit tab to create a new row again.